Welcome fathers who are looking to inspire their kids and become fearless. This is the Become a Fearless Father show and I'm your host, Klaas van Oosterhout. I'm a father of 2 boys, husband and entrepreneur. This show is created to teach you how to take control and enjoy the most difficult job you've ever faced, fatherhood. I'm going to keep it real and share real life experience. A heads up, there is no magic pill. You will have to put in the hours, sweat and tears to achieve victory. Are you ready to improve your health, wealth, relationships, knowledge and become the hero your family needs you to be? I know you are. So get your pen and paper ready and let's become fearless fathers together.
Welcome everybody to episode number 19 already for Become a Fearless Father. And I have the absolute pleasure to be live with Lane Fournerat. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I should have asked just like you in the beginning.
No, that was very good. It's a French name and people mostly get it wrong. You did great.
It's good that I've been to France a couple of times, so that might help.
Yeah. Yep.
Listen, man, I'm so excited. I saw some of your videos. They're absolutely awesome, fun, entertaining, which is what we try to do, right? And inspirational learning.
Well, thank you.
So I'm really excited. But let's first start off with you telling us a little bit more about your story, your background, and how we got here.
Sure. Well, I've been on YouTube for a long time, and I started off just by making short films back in like 2004, even before YouTube, and I was looking for a place to host them. So I found YouTube and I started uploading there, and I kind of saw what was going on in the space, and then from a period of about 5 years, I was like trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to do. And then I started having a family and having kids. And I realized that my passion was in travel. And I really love to get out there and explore the world with our kids. And so that's whenever I actually took an old channel. The travel vlog family used to be called the Funny Rats, which is just a play on our last name. And I rebranded it into a travel vlogging because we believe in building a stronger family bond with your kids through travel. And so that's what we're doing on YouTube on that channel. I've got another channel as well.
Awesome, man. That sounds great. I love that.
Thank you.
Creating a family bond through traveling.
Yep. Because with travel, whenever you go traveling with your family, or just whenever you travel in general, you have to figure out what you're going to do. You're going to overcome obstacles. You're going to have those days where it's just not going to be a great day, but you have to overcome it and you work together as a team, as a family to be able to make it happen. And I think you get to see the world as well. So that's what I love.
Absolutely. I have to agree with you there. And I have some questions regards to that later on, because as you mentioned, you come across obstacles and challenges and wonderful moments, etc. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that.
Okay.
I first want to dive into a little bit of this because the first video I watched, and sorry, I got really inspired and quiet because I never realized I have been very blessed in the fact that I have never had student loans, even though I went to really good schools. I was very fortunate with work and with my grandparents and my parents paying for everything. And then I heard you guys' story that you actually were in debt, $75,000, if I remember correctly.
That's about right. Yeah, it was 70,000, I think.
70,000, sorry.
No, it's okay.
It was just mind-blowing. I was just like, wow. And you guys put together, and instead of letting it roll you over and just completely keep you down, like, which is also normal, I would be able to understand. You completely changed it. And I believe you mentioned in the video in 2 years, you changed it around. I was so inspired by that story, man. Would you do me a huge favor and tell a little bit about that story, how you went by? Because I think everybody can really learn from them. And I hope, because, I've never realized that, because if you don't see something close to you, it's kind of like the ostrich, you put your hand in the sand and that's it. You don't know, so it's okay. You don't know.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I heard your story, I started picking up more. I started seeing more of those messages on Facebook and stuff of more people just like yourselves with debts of, and that's why I said 75,000, 100,000, even more. And I was just like, Man,
Yeah, it's mind-boggling how much debt people get into these days. And so whenever we just had our first child, Amelia, and we realized that we needed to take some action on these student loans and all the debt that we had, because they're not going away anytime soon unless we do something about it. And so we picked up the Dave Ramsey Total Money Makeover book, and we, kind of followed his plan for getting out of debt. And man, that was probably one of the best things that we've ever done for our family financially. So like you said, we had, I think 60,000 of it was student loan debt. And then the other was like a car loan and maybe like 1,000 or two on a credit card and a medical bill and all that type of stuff. So we paid off the debt in 2 years and 10 months to pay off the $70,000. And it's one of those things where you have to really want to do it, and you're going to have to sacrifice to be able to get it as fast as you want to do it. It's your pace. You decide how fast you want to go. So whenever we were doing it, I hate being in debt. A lot of it was from my wife. Whenever we got married, she had the student loan debt. And so I kind of just inherited it whenever I got married. But I'm one of those people, like, I want something and I'm going to make it happen. And there's nothing that's going to stop me. So, we sold our car and became a one-car family. We had like 5 garage sales. I was selling stuff to the scrapyard, metal that I found on the side of the road. I was selling stuff on Craigslist and eBay, any type of money that I could get my hands on. I was just chunking it at this debt as fast as I could. Birthday would come along and I'd get, $50 as a birthday gift or whatever. Guess where that was going? It was going on debt. I didn't go and buy, all the cool things that I wanted to buy. I was so focused on it. And once you get laser focused on something, then you can really start to move the needle and actually make things happen. And so that's what we did for 2 years and 10 months.
Nice, man. Congrats. I loved when you took your kids and your wife into the Dave Ramsey show. You guys were screaming there, and your little girl was she's awesome.
Yeah, she's awesome. We, in fact, being able to take that road trip for us, that was kind of like the first, I guess, sign, if you will, like we can travel again. Because during that time, whenever we were getting out of debt, unless it was for something business-wise, it was a business expense, we weren't doing any traveling. And so now, just to be able to have that freedom to be able to do the things that we want to do and live our passion, live the things that we love to do, it's great.
Fantastic, man. I'm loving it. Congrats. I really love you mentioned something. I want to pick up on that real quick. You said, you really have to want to make it happen, and that's you as a person.
It is.
Can you recall in your life when that came about and how that came about to have that kind of attitude? Because that's so important as an entrepreneur. You want to make it happen. Actually, it's funny because I listened to Tony Robbins this morning. He was saying the problem that we're having is we say, I should do this, or I should do that. And I'm sure that he's right. If you guys would say, yeah, we should take care of the student or the loans and the debt, it would never happen. But you say, no, we make it a must. We must get rid of these debts ASAP.
Yep. You have to find that focus. You have to want to do it, Thinking back in my life, I've always had kind of an entrepreneurial spirit. Back whenever I was in college, I owned like 5 vending machines that I ran. It's something that I wanted to do, so I went out and did it, I've wanted to create YouTube content, and I wanted to become a content creator and an influencer. So what did I do? I do it. If you want to get ahead in life, you actually, have to put forth the effort to make something happen. People say an idea, is a dime a dozen these days. There's so many ideas flying around. It's the people who actually put it into action that actually make something happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. See, that's exactly why I wanted you on this podcast, because for me, you are what represents a fearless father. Just freaking get something in your mind, do it, no matter what the consequences, and we'll see what happens on the road. And then we just roll with it and make it work. Perfect.
Exactly. And let me say this too. Whenever, I mentioned the YouTube channel that I have, because I actually have a lot of YouTube channels, and many of them have failed, or I gave up on them, or I just didn't want to pursue what they were all about anymore. And so I had to realize the junk that I don't want in my life and push it to the side and focus on the things that I do want. And sometimes that can be hard to do, because I have another channel. Some people know about it. I don't know if you know about it, called LaneVids. It actually has like 80,000 subscribers on it or something, but the content I've changed so much, and I never really found the niche for the content, that most of the subscribers don't watch a lot of the content on that channel. And so I have to take the conscious effort to push that channel to the side so that I can focus on what I'm passionate on. And that's, doing traveling with my family. And then I realized about a year ago that I was getting a bunch of companies contacting me to do product reviews after I did a few product reviews on that LaneVids channel. And I was like, okay, I think there might be something here that I could create another channel about. And then that's where my whole dad reviews channel came from, where companies wanted me to review a product. I said, okay, let's make something happen here. I made it happen. I put my stamp of approval on it, and I just went after it. And it's probably one of the better things that I've done for my YouTube content financially, which has been fantastic.
Nice. That's awesome.
Hey, sorry for the interruption. I know you're really enjoying the show. Just want to make sure, if you're liking this information, please subscribe and press the like button. And also, go visit becomeafearlessfather.com. You get the opportunity to share your biggest challenge at the moment as a father. And it gives me the opportunity to try and help you overcome this. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the show.
And do these guys, just a question between, do these guys then, they contact you, do they pay for you then coming out with that kind of content and demonstrating their product? Or how does that work? How do you make that work for you as well?
Well, in the beginning, of course, it was just me finding stuff around the house and just, reviewing the things that, we already had. And then eventually, more and more people started contacting me. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take your free product and try it out for a little bit. I'll do an unboxing video type of thing. Mm-hmm. And then eventually I was like, man, there's a lot of people who want this. Let me charge, $20 just to see what happens. And they were like, yeah, that's great. Come on, bring it on. So eventually it just started snowballing, and it's been great. And then on the other end of that is that you can work with Amazon and do like an affiliate link, so you can make money on the back end as well as the front end. And then also you have your Google AdSense there as well. So there's many different monetization streams that you can use when putting something like that together. And that's like I said, that's one of the best things that I've done financially for the channel. And I love it.
Nice. That's great to hear, man. I'm loving it. Golden nuggets being dropped in only 10 minutes in the conversation. Sweet.
That's what I tried to do.
Nice. That's what we're hoping for. So that's great. As I mentioned, man, a fearless father to me, man, as I said, you really represent it. For me, you must be an entrepreneur. And that has several reasons, of course. The biggest reason being more time to spend with your kids, which of course as a father is for me is the most important thing. I want to be with them. And the other one, of course, is being able to make a huge impact in this world, which of course you with your videos, you absolutely do. You're inspiring so many people. So I'm just wondering, you talked a little bit about it, but maybe we can go a little bit more in depth. How did you go about finding your passion? And you said, yes, I want to share us as a family traveling with others to really inspire them to do the same or to take the lessons that we learn along our travels.
God, it's a really good question, because it was just kind of an organic journey for me. I started out on YouTube putting short films online, and then I started doing like DIY science experiment stuff. And then I started daily vlogging, a video every day of the family, doing a family vlog. And a lot of that, the family vlog stuff was us, our journey getting out of debt, paying off that $70,000. And then once I got to that point and I realized we had the freedom freedom, I realized what I love to do, which was to travel. And so I just tried to do as much of that as I could. I started, reaching out to tourism boards and reaching out to bed and breakfast to see if they'll host us or if they have something that we can do so that we can work together. We started traveling locally. With travel, if you want to do a travel channel, you got to kind of build up the repertoire. So you might start off just in your city doing stuff, and then you may expand to like out your state or your region where you can travel to, and then eventually you can go out into the further states, and then you can go continental to where you can go everywhere. It's just a matter of taking those small steps to get exactly where you want. And it's just like paying off the debt. You take those small steps to pay down those small debts first, and then eventually it'll be gone. Same thing whenever you're building something with a business or whatever.
Nice. That's awesome. That's exactly what it is, right? Just taking that step every single time. What's the farthest that you guys traveled so far?
Whenever we were still in debt. It was more of a business trip. We were going to a YouTube conference, and it was called Vlogger Fair, which is in Seattle, Washington. So that was actually the kids' first time on a plane as well, which was quite interesting because they were younger. And then since then, we've been trying to take road trips every year. My wife is not a huge fan of airplanes, although she will get on one. So we've done Florida, we've done Arkansas, we've been to Texas, a few other places, Oklahoma, just kind of in that, this southwestern region. But before we had kids and before we were vlogging, I took a mission trip to South Africa, and we got to stay there for 3 weeks. And then had a fly in through Germany, and we had a 9-hour layover there. So we got to get out and explore the city there. For our honeymoon, we went to Hawaii, and we got to spend some time on Kauai, which is really beautiful. So, it's a matter of kind of, like I said, building it up again. Hopefully, as our kids get older and more mature, we can be able to take those more elaborate trips.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you. Man, Hawaii, my wife would be really jealous.
Don't show her the interview, right?
She might be listening already. So I think
getting you in trouble.
That's okay. Yeah, she keeps talking about Hawaii and the Bahamas, man.
Oh, right.
That would be awesome. But it's a little further away for us, so the costs are a bit more expensive.
Sure. You got Italy right there. Y'all could go down to the Mediterranean.
Absolutely. Yeah, I took my kids to the beach here in Spain last week to surprise my mom. She hadn't seen them for a while. She was a little down, so I thought, you know what, I'm taking the kids. So we didn't say anything. Drove down there. My father knew, of course, so he let us in, and she was in the bathroom. So I had my kids stand in front of the door, knock on it. She opened it. She's like, "Oh my God!" So,
that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, but I need to start learning to take the camera and film those things.
Right.
That's really cool.
Yep. It's one of the things that being a vlogger, you kind of learn like when to take out the camera and when not to take out the camera,
Yeah, it was a little bit tricky though. She only had a towel on, so I don't think she
well.
with the camera there. So that's
right.
You gotta be careful.
Right, sure.
Hey, listen, the one thing, we're talking about entrepreneurship as well. And of course, you probably heard it as well, and the numbers don't lie. Being an entrepreneur is not easy. Most entrepreneurs actually, they don't make it through the struggle, or they're just struggling along, making it just through each month. And
right.
I'm just wondering, how did you experience your humble beginnings, and also what got you through to consistently keep coming up with content?
Well, my journey is interesting because mine really started before even YouTube was born, because I was creating short films back in 2002 and 2003. My degree is in performing arts, so I always had kind of this outgoing personality and everything. So I kind of had a little bit of an upswing there. And then, like I said, I was looking for places online to place my content. I came across YouTube, so I started putting it onto there. And then I saw what other people were doing. on YouTube back in like 2007, 2 years into YouTube. And 2008, I kind of dove head on. I was like, this is something that I want to do. I feel like this is the future of where video is going to be, because before then I was doing, I had a short film that I had, and I was trying to get it into film festivals and trying to get it played wherever I could. And I realized, man, those film festival entry fees are really expensive. And so, that was always a hindrance for me is the money issue, because I just gotten out of college. I didn't really have anything too stable for me. And being the fact that I found online video in YouTube and I could just upload to a website and there's no fees, that's fantastic. And so that's kind of where my humble beginnings began. My wife and I got married in 2006, and I was trying to pursue this. I made my short film in 2005, found YouTube in 2007. So I was still holding down as much of a job that I could during that time to be able to keep income coming in. So then I started daily vlogging all that during that time whenever I had that job. And then whenever my daughter was born, like 2 days before, I lost that job. So it was a main source of income for the family. And so I had to push forward as much as I could. And luckily, I've got the most incredible wife behind me. And she, is passionate about me wanting to be able to do this for our family. And, without that, I don't think it would be harder for me to do what I'm doing online if it wasn't for her. So much credit needs to be given to her as well.
I hear you. I hope she heard that. If not, we cut it out and share it with her.
Absolutely.
It's always good to give our wives the praises that they absolutely even more deserve than we give them credit for.
Absolutely.
At least I'm guilty of that.
Yes.
I'm actually, I have the same story. My wife, she works full time, and she supports this journey that I've started with Become a Fearless Father. Which gives me the opportunity to, what you say, just live your passion, live your dream. And one of those things was just being there and absolutely raising my kids full-time on, which came with the struggles. And we'll talk about that in a little bit as well.
Sure.
Look, I'm sure you've heard of Sean Kettle from, I had him on a couple of weeks ago.
I saw that.
He just gave you a great. I love having him on. He also dropped so many golden nuggets. He just come out with his new book, YouTube Secrets, and I actually asked him a question, because nowadays, you mentioned at the beginning there was just YouTube and there was a channel. Of course, now there's so many social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and the list goes on and on and on. So I asked him, what made you, or what do you think that YouTube makes the best platform for you to be on? And I was actually wondering, okay, so what's your take on that?
I think me and Sean actually have a pretty similar view. YouTube is the number 2 search engine in the world behind Google, and Google owns YouTube. So people always go to YouTube to search for a problem that they have, and you're hopefully there to answer their problem. The issue with social media like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter is that nobody really searches it that much whenever they're looking for a problem. They're usually just scrolling through. And so I don't find that you get as of an engaged audience as you do, as a more focused audience than you do, because you're always just a swipe away. With YouTube, you actually have to click something. On the others, you just have to swipe, So that's my take on it. I do believe, though, that social media is good for building community. And I think that's where social media, the reason why it's called social media is because you're building a community. Community is all socially based.
So then you would say that Facebook, Instagram, and all those things, they're more social media. YouTube is more of a search engine.
Yes.
platform.
Yes. Although I will say that I do think that some people are slowly becoming a practice for people to search on Facebook for particular things. I don't know exactly what those particular things are. Usually, I guess people, but I've just I've noticed some of my siblings and whatnot whenever they get on Facebook. Oh yeah, let me search that on Facebook, and then they use that. But I think for more like problem solving stuff, you're going to find that on YouTube, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. Thanks for explaining that. So another thing I saw, because this morning also I was browsing to a couple of videos. I saw the videos of you with your kids. That's hilarious, going up and down the elevators. So, but your kids are in your videos, of course, a lot of the times, and we actually didn't post anything of our kids, like no photos, nothing, no information on Facebook or YouTube or anything, until recently when I started doing Become a Fearless Father, and I was like, yeah, that's a little weird being a father, but then not sharing anything with your kids. So I kind of
right.
And the reason for that was that, you hear scary stories.
Sure.
Scary stories of kids getting kidnapped, abused, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just wondering, what's your take on that? How do you go about dealing with those thoughts or dealing with anything that involves that? Because as I said, you're constantly with your kids on the videos. Everybody that watches them knows their names, knows a lot about them.
Sure. I think I got into the YouTube game really, in the early days of YouTube, and I honestly didn't people weren't having these type of issues or discussions or problems. So I almost didn't even think about it. It didn't even occur to me. And honestly, knock on wood, I've never really had anything terrible happen as far as privacy concerns are talked about with our family, which is honestly just a blessing. Maybe it's, God telling me that I'm on the right path, doing what he wants me to do. But I don't know. We've never really encountered any type of issues like that before.
Nice.
So I can't really talk to that very much. I'm sorry. I wish I could give you more.
No, I understand. No, but what I'm also curious about is just what's your feeling about that? Is that something that you think about, or you're just like, yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. It's more, I'm just going to continue doing my thing.
Yeah. I'd say it's more of a, I'm not really going to worry about it. I did put in some practices in place of, there's certain websites you can go to not have your address or phone number listed and all that kind of stuff. So there's, some things like that you can do. But as far as kids are concerned, I just didn't really dive into that very much.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's good. It's all it's good. It's stuff that, I think we should not worry about it to the point that we stay awake from it, but it's also something that, we need to think about.
Right, sure. And I believe I'm aware of it, because I have some other friends that, they give their kids stage names, if you will, as opposed to using their real names. It's just a matter, I think it's a personal preference for the parents of what they want to do, Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I asked Sean a similar question because a really good friend of mine from England, he has a 6-year-old son, and the son already started his own YouTube channel in which he was showing, I don't know, some Lego cars or something with people and explaining, opening them and sharing, what he got. It was really cute. And I was telling Sean, how do you go about that? Because the only message that was underneath was of somebody saying hello with the name Booty, blah, 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 blah. You can imagine what else came behind it.
Right.
That's not the kind of thing that I want my kids at such a young age to come in contact with. We know it's there, so when they're older, you can explain it. But yeah, it's like you said, you're just gonna come across it, and you need to monitor it, block it, and that's it. In the end, it's very simple also to do those kind of things on internet.
Right. That's what I was going to say. YouTube has things in place where you can block users if you don't like what they're saying, or if they may have a questionable username or something like that. Just you got to be, if you're going to have your kids, especially if your kids have their own channel, I think you need to be the moderator of that particular channel as a parent. And that goes with anything, whether they're, watching something on TV or playing on playing a game on the iPad or whatever. You need to be able to know what they're doing. Be a good parent.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. So we talked a little bit about this before, but traveling for your family and you is actually the name of the game, right? So you were mentioning it. Traveling comes with stress, accidents, unforeseen events. Well, and the list probably goes on and on. If you have any other great things that happen that you can share, of course, I'd love to hear them. But what it comes down to is that traveling with kids, it takes a lot of patience, right?
Yes.
I'm just wondering, what's your approach on making sure your family and you have the best possible or the best enjoyment, the best time on each trip that you go on?
Sure. The first thing that comes to my mind whenever you mention that, just thinking about the experiences that we had, is that first trip to Seattle. We had 2 delayed planes while we were on the way there. So, there is, the kids, they're not going to want to sit in a hotel, not a hotel, an airport for hours and hours. So you need to be, as a parent and as a fearless father, you need to be prepared to be able to entertain them, to be able to make them laugh, run around with them. Don't be scared to make a fool of yourself in the airport if you have to, if it keeps your kids entertained. Bring the deck of cards, bring something you can travel with, that'll, coloring book that'll keep them entertained. Let them take responsibility too for some of the things that they want to bring. That's another thing that we do. If we're traveling, whether it's a road trip or on the airplane or whatever, they usually have like a little backpack, or if they want to bring a toy, that's theirs. It's their responsibility. Mom and dad are not going to hold it unless it's a specific case, and it's up to them to be able to come back with that particular thing. So that's definitely one thing. Another time we were in Florida, and it was a hot day, and we just got done hiking on the beach. And whenever we were getting back, everyone was drained. We're like, okay, what can we do right now that will make this better? And so my wife went to the ranger station, and she saw just a thing of ice cream, cones and whatnot. And she was like, this is perfect. Get the ice cream cones, bring it back to the car. And that just cheered everybody up, made everybody just feel so much better, cooled us down. It worked. And that was kind of recent. This past summer, we went to Florida again, and she gave a parenting tip of, halfway through the trip, one thing that'll always make your day better is to stop and get like ice cream or snowball or just something fun that the kids can enjoy and usually cool off with. And it's good for the parents too. But it's finding those small moments that can make the trip more enjoyable. You have to be on the lookout for them, or you have to be prepared for them.
Exactly. So it's also preparation, right?
Oh, absolutely. You got to. And luckily for me, my wife is a very prepared type of person.
Nice. That's great. See, what I did when I went to visit my parents to surprise my mom is I wake up every single day at 4:00 in the morning. So instead of doing my morning routine, I decided, you know what? I'm going to have the night before all the stuff ready. And you're going to dump it in the car, and at 4:15, we're going to go. So they in their pajamas, I picked them up, put them in their seats, and they continued to sleep. And by the time that they woke up for the first stop, it was already light, and we were almost there. We had like an hour more to go. Right. So it's nice. And then it's just a matter of putting on a little bit of music, and they can survive and look around a little bit. However, we've been very lucky.
That comes with planning,
Yeah, absolutely. We've been very lucky because we we had people saying to us, because it's the worst nightmare, no? You when we didn't have kids, you sit in an airplane, you go on a trip, and then you always sit next to the kid that cry, or behind or in front of the kid that cries the most, and then hear everyone complain. But then you're a father, and then you have kids, and you're like, oh my God, I hope my kid doesn't do that. Oh,
well, I just got back from a business trip, and behind me was the kid who was kicking my seat and whatever. And you know, thinking as a father, I'm like, you know, this really isn't that bad. I'm able to fly across the United States, and all I have to deal with is, you know, a couple of kicks in the back of my chair. It's really not that bad of a deal. You just have to think about it in a positive way, you know?
Yeah, there you go. That's the key. Absolutely. Well, we were very lucky. We actually got compliments from all the people around us saying like, "Wow, your kids were amazing. They were so quiet."
That's awesome.
One fell asleep, and the other one was happy watching whatever was on that small TV. So
right. Yep. Whatever works.
Let's hope the next time goes just as well.
Right. Thank you, God.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just wondering, man, what has been like some of the biggest learning experience from all your travels that you can share with other fathers out there?
Patience. Have lots of patience. Be able to roll with the punches, you know? Whenever, like I said, whenever you're going into travel, you're kind of going into like unknown territory, because you never know what the day's going to bring. So you need to have the patience to be able to roll with the punches. Because if you can, you know, if you're a stickler person, oh, this has to be this way and this way and this way and this way, you're not going to make it. It's going to drive you insane. You got to be able to say, okay, this is not working. We need to change something up here, and let's make this other thing happen. That's going to be a lot more fun. You know, it's a rainy day. How can we turn this around to be something that can be fun, even though we may not be able to go to the beach today? You know, we're going to go in the mall, find an indoor thing and play putt-putt, you know, whatever it happens to be. Just got to, like I said, roll with the punches.
Exactly. So do you then plan like some fathers, they really plan, right? We're going to go here, and this is what we're going to do. However, if this is going to happen, we can do that. And if this is going to happen, then we can do that. Or are you more the person that says, okay, I just think on my feet. This is what we're going to do. This is plan A. I'm sticking to plan A. And if we have to change it, then we'll just see what happens.
Well, that gets interesting, especially being a travel vlogger, because like I said, I reach out to tourism boards and they usually come back to me with other things. And usually those are kind of planned. And so, you know, you have to be able to work with them and roll with the punches if, you know, the weather's not good whenever you're going on a safari or something like that, you know. You got to just make sure that you're able to have a little bit of flexibility there. You know, we took another trip to Florida, and it was one of those things where we had some points from a hotel, so we could just kind of roll with the punches and do our own thing. And it rained almost every afternoon that we were out, but we just found something to do, you know. It's a matter of, it took some research. Probably the hardest part for us is whenever we have something planned and then something goes wrong, like a weather type of thing, and then we have to like do some quick research to be able to find what we're going to do next. I'm the guy that gets on there and I'm like on the computer trying to figure out, okay, what's available? What can we do? This, and this. Okay, these are our options. What exactly are we going to pick from that to be able to go out and do? And sometimes I can get a little sucked down that rabbit hole. And so I'm like sitting there for like an hour trying to just plan the plan B, because it wasn't, you know, totally flushed out. And, you know, everybody's like, okay, you know, it's time to go. Let's figure out, let's nail something down. And so that's probably one of the more frustrating things for me, just because I'm trying to figure out the best thing to do to solve this problem. Because I think that's what a lot of dads do, or a lot of males in general. We like to solve the problem that's happening right there. And sometimes it takes us a little longer.
Yeah, exactly. I like to make things perfect, right?
Right, exactly. Because you want to have a good time.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah, I can absolutely relate to that. It happens sometimes on the weekends, and then by the time you finally figured it out, the day is almost over. It's like, yeah, forget it. That sometimes happens as well. But you know,
Yep.
We roll with the punches.
Exactly. You have to. I think that's what makes life interesting too, you know, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love your positive attitude. I think that's an underlying a message to people. It's like, okay, yeah, you have to have that positive, more relaxed and outlook towards things. Would you say that that also, in the end, makes the result for more fun, for more um, interesting trips than just being focused on that one thing and then just lose it because that thing didn't happen?
Yeah, and even if that thing does happen and you're so focused, on making sure everything goes right with this awesome thing that's happening, it doesn't give you the flexibility to really like live in the moment and to enjoy, the thing that you plan to do. You want to be able to be able to live life to its fullest. So to be able to actually be focused 100% right there with what you were doing. And I think for me, having the camera and capturing these memories helps me to do that. It helps me to be more engaged. Then because we can go to places and your kids may be having a lot of fun playing on whatever, and then the parents are just like kind of sitting back on the bench not doing anything. It's like I want to tell them, like, no, get up and go be involved with your kids, go play with them, go do things with them. And I think a lot of parents, it could be tiredness because parents are tired, but I think that some of that's missing today. The idea of being 100% involved with what your kid's doing, whether they're sitting down drawing a picture or if they're playing on a playground.
I hear you. Yeah, I always have parents looking at me weird because I love to go with them on the monkey bars and be the biggest monkey.
Right. It's fun. Like I said, it puts you
Yeah,
in the moment. You're living life 100% with your kids.
yeah, exactly. I think that's a great advice for fathers out there, even if because it's also your character, right? I mean, I can understand that you're worried about what other people think, but as you mentioned earlier, it's also about those little steps, right? Just do something that's out of your comfort zone. Take that little step. See
Hmm.
how you feel. Don't look at other people. Don't worry about what they say or how they look. Just see
Right.
how you feel and most importantly, and that's what you also mentioned, see how your kids feel. See how they respond because they love it. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, the kid, I've learned this too, and I think I heard this somewhere. I can't remember. You can give your kids a toy and they'll play with it, but then after a few minutes, if it's just them playing with the toy, they're gonna get bored. But if you actually go and engage with them while they're playing, I think that's why games do really well, because it's usually a coming together of a family to be able to do this one thing. So if you go and play with your kids, I build Lego sets with my kids. I find it fun because I like puzzles, but that they're engaged in it as well because they see that I'm engaged with it. And that's, I think, where those bonds are built with your kids is by actually being with them.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we or no, I should say, I stopped the Lego a little bit because the smallest one was what my mother calls a typical Spanish builder, meaning he destroys everything. So that came with a lot of frustration for the older one, and I said,
Right.
we'll wait till he gets a little older and understands that we have to build Lego and not.
And not destroy it. Right. That's what our 5-year-old, our 6-year-old likes to do, is destroy them.
No, it's actually the 2-year-old that destroys everything and the
Ah,
5-year-old that wants to build it. Uh,
right, right.
but they both like puzzles and memory. So
Absolutely. And again, and
it's
things
awesome.
like that is great for their minds too, just from a educational standpoint, as opposed to sitting them down in front of a screen and watching a movie or a TV show. Granted, we do that.
Mm,
But to be able to also take the time to do those puzzles together for brain development and social aspects of it too. I think there's a whole lot of psychological stuff that goes into that a lot of kids are missing today.
absolutely, absolutely. I sometimes get a little frustrated because I get beat by a 5-year-old, but that's
Right, right.
that's my ego talking.
Right. Let your ego go.
Yeah, exactly. No place for an ego with a 5-year-old. Um, we're going to go a little bit more towards the topic of, what you do with your kids and playing and more specifically in regards to the evening. But I have a different topic. This is actually a topic I haven't discussed with. I spoke with a mom today because I had this interview and I was saying, hey, I got this question. I think it's actually really cool. I haven't talked to anybody about it. And I was wondering what her opinion was, and she was facing the same thing. And I don't know if it works for you, but let me explain.
Okay.
So my 5-year-old, of course, he's going to school now and he starts to talk a lot, and he comes sometimes home with new words. And sometimes they're words that are great. Sometimes they're words that, I don't think a 5-year-old should have in his vocabulary yet. So you know where I'm going with this.
Uh-huh.
However, first I responded and I got really mad. Like, what are you saying? And then my wife actually was really smart, and she was actually asking him, like, do you know what it means? He would use the B word or the F word, and it was like, you know what it means? And of course, he had no idea. He just heard the word, thought it sounded funny, and said it. It's not just like he says it in a sentence. Just like 5 times after another, he says the word.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering if this happens with your daughter. I believe she's a little older. And how do you deal with it, or what's your thoughts on it, and how do you think that fathers should respond when those moments come, that the kids come home with words that in your household, they don't represent your values and beliefs?
Right. I can't say that we've ever had like a really specific incident where something like that has happened before. The thing that I think of is like they might hear a word, but they're totally saying it wrong, and so it just sounds funny, and so they don't really get what's going on. And I don't know what the explicitness is of your podcast, but is it DAM?
No, explicit. You can say whatever you want.
Okay, yeah. She came home saying the word that she heard was "damn it," and she kept saying "damaged." Oh, damaged, and we're like, "Damaged? Where did this come from?" And then we put 2 and 2 together, and we got it. But honestly, just kind of just laughed about it. If a situation like that does come up, though, we would be the parents to be like, that's not something that you should say. That's not a good word to say. It's not don't say. You would get in trouble for saying those type of words, using that kind of language with them. Let them know that that's not a nice thing to say. And hopefully they respond well to that. That's, like I said, it's something that we haven't encountered yet. I'm sure one day it will. And I'm curious to know how that's actually going to go, because it could either be like, okay, I just won't say that word anymore, or they could totally take it the opposite way. And then, then probably consequences would be involved.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, I went the wrong way. Like, I got really upset, and that's putting emphasis on something that you do not appreciate, do not like, which is not smart, because that's exactly what they got to do. Like,
right, exactly.
Another 6 times or 7 times because, hey, it's funny, daddy gets emotional. That's
right.
A reaction out of him. That's nice. It's normal reaction. And then I noticed that he, like a few days later, he picked up a new word. I think he has a little wild classroom with some parents that teach their kids words that, or at least scream some words. I don't know. And he did it again, and then I listened to my wife, and I was actually like, you know what? I'm just not going to pay attention. I'm just going to go. And that actually had the best reaction, because after that, it just didn't happen anymore.
And
I'm sure he learned some new words, but just wasn't important anymore.
And sometimes, the way that a wife might handle it compared to how you handle it, if you get emotional about those things, it might be better to let the other parent be the one to do the discipline there, because they see that you get all emotional about it, and so they think it's going to be funny. And so I think that's, good cop, bad cop almost, get the other one to come in and kind of teach them what they need to do, or, how it should be done. Maybe they can do it in a better way than what you can do. I know that's happened with my wife and I plenty of times. She comes in and says something a certain way, and it's a lot better than the way that I would have handled it,
Exactly. Well, that's great advice. I got it written down, so I'll discuss that with my wife tomorrow morning.
Post it on your wall.
Yeah, well, if I got room.
Right.
I definitely got to find a spot.
Sure.
So we were talking earlier about, how important it is to spend time with your kids and do puzzles and Lego and those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
I find it important to have like a really good evening routine with them, also for them to relax. So little by little, and I'm still really searching. That's why I want to see a little bit how you guys do that at your house. So what we do and then what we decide now is like, okay, an hour before they go to bed, or at least an hour, the TV gets shut off. So there's no more TV.
Mm-hmm.
And what I will do then is play a little bit with them. So puzzles or memory. So they calm down, but they also have fun, and we do it as a family.
Mm-hmm.
I try to implement like a gratitude / spiritual circle, during which we would sit in a circle, say something nice about the other person. So one person would speak and then say something nice about his for example, if it was Diego, my oldest one, he would say something nice about his mother, say something nice about his father, say something nice about his little brother. And when he finished saying something nice, we would give them a kiss. And then we would meditate for a minute. That's a little bit more difficult, especially with the young one, because he gets really restless. So
sure.
Sometimes we do it. Most of the times, I must say, at the moment we don't, although I really enjoyed it.
Sure.
And, they have to brush their teeth, they have to prepare their clothes for the next day. We do bedtime stories. So I love doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes it just doesn't work. They all fire out, they're struggling. So I'm just still trying to find and maybe it's just going with the punches and that's it. I just have to be flexible. But I'm wondering, do you have a certain evening routine, or how do you guys like to prepare your kids for bedtime? Do they go at the same time? Do you have that separate? How is that set up for you guys?
Yeah, right now they go to bed at the same time. They're only 18 months apart. So, but we do have one on the way. So that's might be a little bit of a wake up call for us. But our routine right now is, we usually eat dinner as a family at the table, and that's kind of where we have our conversations. I believe that family bonds are built around a dinner table. I never really liked the idea of eating in front of a TV or a screen or anything like that. It teaches them social skills. It teaches them conversation. It teaches them about table manners, which is one thing that we're working on right now. And then once dinner is done, they have to bring their plate to the sink, and then it's time to take a bath. So we go straight to the bath, and they do the bath. They get dressed for bed. I'm usually cleaning the dishes, and then right after that we try to brush teeth. Sometimes we forget to brush teeth. We usually read if they have some time, a little extra time, they can have some time to play with some toys. And then Krista, my wife, reads a story to them, usually from like a chapter book type of thing. They also have to read their stories for school. They have to read so many books or whatever and take tests on them. So they read their books, and then my wife will read a book to them in their beds. And then we sing to them at night, and then we tell them good night, and they go to sleep. And that seems to be working fairly well for us. One thing that we don't do is on the weekdays, they don't have TV. There's no TV time or screen time, unless it's like a really rough day or something, difference going on that day, and something needs to get done. We might hand them a tablet and they can play some type of educational game or something like that. But for the most part, it's Monday through Friday. Friday afternoon after school, they can play like on the Nintendo for 30 minutes to an hour or something like that. We're pretty strict about limiting their screen time.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, the stories that you hear of kids spending hours and hours every single day on TV is it's kind of sad. But
Yeah, it is. We tell our kids, go outside, go play, go
yeah,
outside,
exactly.
go burn some energy. You need to do some of that.
I love it when we actually try to do stuff and they're like, we want to go to the park, but you completely need to do stuff in the house. It's like, yeah, let's just go to the park. I mean, as long as they want to go outside, then who are we
Right,
to keep them inside? So, except when it really, really rains,
right,
which is another discussion with the kids. It's always interesting to have.
right.
Hey,
One
listen.
thing that we found too, just to kind of help with the outdoor stuff, is like we'll get home from work and then we'll decide, let's go to the park. How can we fit dinner into the park? And so we'll run by the store and grab like a loaf of bread and mayonnaise and cheese and ham or whatever, and we'll say, let's go have a picnic in the park. And we have a blanket in the car pretty much all the time, and we'll just spread out the blanket. We'll have our meal as a family right there. Everyone can make their own sandwiches, and then they can go play, and we can go have some fun afterwards until it gets time to go home and take a bath. And that works well. Just on beautiful days where you want to be outside. Who cares if the house is a wreck for a little bit? Let's go enjoy some time as a family.
Exactly. That's cool. I like
Yeah.
that. So, okay, Lane, how old are you? Oh, and by the way, congrats on the third one coming up.
Oh, thank you.
In between. Um,
Uh-huh.
how old are your kids at the moment?
My daughter is 7, my son is 6, and then we have one due in about a week or two.
Nice. So 7 and 6, and they already have to read and do tests and stuff?
Oh yeah. There's something at their school called accelerated reader,
Okay.
AR tests, and it's not a hard book by any means. They're usually there's a label on the book that says what grade level it's for, and so they'll have to read the book, and then at school there's a computer test. It's like 5 questions or something like that.
Mhm.
Just kind of who's the main character in the story, what did they have to do, what problem did they solve, and it's like a multiple choice type of thing. It's fairly simple.
Mhm.
And then they get so many points, and then I think there's it's like a to help with the school scores and all that. The higher the accelerated reader is for the kids, then the better it is for the school. um, I to a certain extent I like it, and to a certain extent I don't, because it seems like sometimes it can be a lot of pressure on them. But then again, to a certain extent, pressure is good because it keeps them focused and it keeps them going forward with trying to do better and better. Which, coming from my entrepreneurial background, I'm always about, hammering it down and getting it done. And then usually the school offers different kinds of rewards, if they meet certain criteria or certain goals for the reading that they have to do. But yeah, they do. I mean, it's, Bernstein Bear books and that type of stuff. Nothing too hard, for them to get through.
No, of course. Yeah, but that's one of the things I just came up when you mentioned it. It was one of the things that I also saw in a lot of messages of fathers saying that, school system, kids at a really young age, they already have lots and lots of homework and stuff like that. And it surprised me a little bit. I have no idea yet how that's going to go for us. So far, we have no homework, except that the teachers are asking us as parents to be involved and doing stuff,
Yeah.
which for me is like logical. And um, I thought it was normal. The whole summer we spent time, especially with the older one, doing the letter stuff and writing words. And so he just continues to learn how to write and the numbers. And the teacher was like, wow, he's doing really good and it's amazing. And then we're saying to all the parents, please, can you do something, because your kids still don't know how to count from 1 to 10. And yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where's the balance between their kids? They have to play, and their kids, they have to also learn. How far do you push them? And then you mentioning like, okay, yeah, it's so important for the school that they have a certain level, because I'm like, what's the importance here? Is it the kid, or is it you being able as a school to say, look how great our kids are?
Right.
It's kind of scary.
Right. And I agree with that too, because it seems like since our kids have been in school, we ask, how much time do they have for recess? And it's like, it's so limited these days with how much actual outside play time that they get. Granted, they do get PE. So there's maybe, if I had to guess, like 40 minutes to an hour of physical activity. And me as a dad, I don't think that that's enough. And that's why whenever they come home from school, we're like, let's knock out the homework so we can go play outside. Or if it's a beautiful day and not raining or whatever, let's go play outside. We'll do homework a little bit later. It's just, it has been a frustration for us because, you know, they've been at school all day and they don't want to have to do that. But then, you know, one of the things that their school teaches is, you know, putting first things first, you know, knock out the thing that's not fun. That's not the thing that you really want to do. Get that done with so that you can go and have some fun and, you know, do it in a timely manner. So I think it does teach them some good time management type of things there. But I do agree with you saying that sometimes the school just kind of is pushing them because they want to be like, oh, look how great, you know, the kids are doing in our school. And I see a little bit of frustration there. Mm-hmm. But thankfully, a lot of the teachers that they have, they're kind of to a point where they're like, you know, if homework doesn't get done one night, who cares? You know, let them, you know, get y'all stuff that y'all need to get done.
Exactly. There's some flexibility. Oh, that's good.
Right. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You got to be able to have flexibility and roll with the punches. And as long as the teacher understands that, then I think that it creates a win-win situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's good. It's a good habit to have to first knock out, to learn to first knock out the things that you don't like, to make sure that, you know, later on you don't become a big procrastinator and you don't get anything done.
Right, exactly.
That's definitely. And Lane, I've really enjoyed this. It's been almost an hour. I just want to give you the opportunity to let fathers out there know how can they get in touch with you if they have some more questions or if they want to follow you, which I highly recommend doing. Tell us where they can find you.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, our YouTube channel is youtube.com/thetravelvlogfamily. Actually, your listeners might be interested in our free ebook that we have. If you go to LaneVids.com/ebook, it's 52 fun ways to build a stronger family bond with your kids. And it's basically just 52 fun activities that you can do with your kids, big and small, so that you can, the idea behind 52 is that there's one thing to do every weekend because there's 52 weeks in a year. So, you know, it's small things, you know, go and get ice cream, go and play at the park, plan a road trip. You don't have to take the road trip, but planning a road trip, you know, it teaches them how to plan. It teaches them geography, where things are, what they can do, what's out there in the world. You know, it's small things like that. So it's a free thing if they want to go and get it. It's on our website. And then, you know, we have the Twitter and the Instagram and all that. It's the Travel Vlog Family or LaneVids. I'll send you the links too. You can link them up down in the description below if you care.
Awesome. No, I will definitely do that. I think it's very important to share those kind of information with people. If there's a direct link to the free ebook, I will share that as well. That sounds fantastic. Sometimes I notice in our house that we struggle a little bit, like, okay, what are we going to do this week that's fun? Also, we're still looking a little bit at the finances, right? And
sure,
you're trying to think, okay, what can we do that's fun? We bought a season ticket for the zoo and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
we're going every single weekend to the zoo. Or at a certain point, nobody feels like going to the zoo anymore.
Right. I did the same thing.
Still, especially the lions are cool, except that seeing them laying on the same spot day after day, then it becomes old real quick.
Right, exactly.
Great, Lane. I really appreciate this. Thanks again, everybody that has been watching or has watched. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned tons of things. I got a whole booklet full of little golden nuggets that I got written down that I'm going to implement as soon as possible in my life. And I hope you do the same. We learned that today from Lane. You know, take the steps and take them right away. Take action. That's the most important thing, at least what I got from this. So I appreciate that, Lane.
Absolutely. You're welcome. And thank you for having me. I appreciate you reaching out and wanting to have me on. That's really flattering.
Absolutely. We'll be in touch.
All
right, people. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Are you still meeting up with your friends now that you're a father? Kids making you stress out. You got no time for yourself to work out, read, or relax. Can you still remember the time you were hanging out with your friends, feeling energetic, happy, and confident? Spending time together and talking about your life and your crazy dreams. You're feeling alone now, don't you? No one to share your challenges with, and you're just running around from one storm into the next. Well, it's time to change this now. Join me and the Brotherhood of Fearless Fathers to speak on a weekly basis with like-minded dads to crush your challenges, face your fears with determination, be held accountable, and regain control of your life. If you want to become the hero your family needs you to be, then go to becomeafearlessfather.com/brotherhood. I'm looking forward to seeing you on one of our next calls.